My dear friends, as we celebrate the baptism of the Lord, we're invited this weekend to consider how it is that we are being invited to trust in God, just as God trusts in us. When I was in first grade, my mother and father signed me and my sister up for swim lessons at the local community pool. My sister, while not knowing how to swim just like myself, was more of a natural at it. She just loved it, jumping into the pool, not being afraid to put her head underwater, blowing bubbles, finding ways to, get from one end of the pool to the other. It wasn't long before I even remember seeing her already on the diving board and diving into the pool from about 10 feet high. I was someone who was a little bit more fearful, a little more hesitant or cautious, and I didn't like putting my head underwater. It really took much longer for me to get comfortable or to feel ready to learn how to swim. Even at this opening level or entry level, I remember some kids moving on to the next one and new kids coming in, and here I am still at level 1. It wasn't until we were asked to learn how to float that the swim teacher or swim coach, when it was my turn to try to lay on my back and to just simply be there in the pool, when the teacher said, "Just trust me," and the teacher, as I laid down on my back, held my back and eventually let go. And something about that "trust me" really allowed me to be a little bit more open, a little bit more giving myself to that moment, even as a young child. And while today I'm maybe not an Olympic swimmer, I can still manage to swim at least up and down the pool, a lap here and there. The idea of trust, whether it being in the pool, whether it being in any aspect of our life, is something in which we're invited to each day with God and how God trusts in us. Today's gospel, we encounter Jesus, who approaches John in the River Jordan to be baptized. It's an experience where both Jesus and John are called and invited to trust in one another. Jesus trusted John as the one, his cousin, to baptize him in this river. Jesus, even as someone who was free of sin, recognized that in order to really fully grasp and identify with the humanity state that he was taking on as the Son of God, he wanted to be baptized as a sign of cleansing for all of humanity. The start of Jesus' ministry begins once this baptism takes place, just as the Spirit of God descends from the heavens, just like a dove, reminding us of Jesus' humanity and divinity in this moment. John was also called to be one of trust with Jesus in this moment. Even John felt a little unworthy to be the one to baptize Jesus in the River Jordan. Jesus inspired him, saying, yes, you're the one to make this happen. Even when John said, you should be the one baptizing me. It was a great invitation for John to trust Jesus in this moment, to trust in the bigger picture of God's call to him to baptize Jesus. Perhaps this call or invitation to trust might be an opportunity for you and me this weekend and in this new year of 2026 together, and how we might be able to begin our ministry as this Christmas season comes to a conclusion. It's a time for you and I to use the trust in the birth of Christ as our saving in humanity. It's an opportunity for us to trust in the gifts that we've received from one another and the gifts which God has given us to share with those around us as we celebrated the Epiphany last weekend. And it's also an opportunity to trust in sharing the teachings, the ministry, the gifts which Christ teaches us each and every day with those whom we encounter in our lives, each day of the journey. It's an invitation to trust in a God who loves us, to trust in Jesus, who loved us so much that he took on human flesh to show us how to live and to return to our loving God. As we trust in Jesus going forward this weekend, let's be reminded of all the ways in which we might mirror that trust which God has entrusted within us.